I'm now joined with Gillian Barnett, CEO of World Vision Ireland, to discuss the need for the decision to ban female NGOs from working in Afghanistan to be reversed. Good morning, Gillian. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Johnny. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Gillian, on the 24th of December last, which was Christmas Eve for ourselves, the Taliban had announced their decision to ban female NGOs from working in Afghanistan. The ban not only applies to local female aid workers, but also for foreign female NGOs based in the country. What do you make of this?
Yes, well, Johnny, as you can imagine, we're all really bitterly disappointed at this decision. Yeah, as you said, December 24th, it was announced that all women were banned from working for NGOs, and World Vision had to immediately make the decision to temporarily suspend all of its operations. We have been working with other NGOs here in Afghanistan as well to collectively call for the immediate reversal of this decision. We believe very acutely that female staff are essential to deliver the life-saving aid that we're providing, and without them there is no mistaking that children and families will die.
Okay, but you're not the only organisation who has taken this decision. There are a number of them, I believe.
Exactly, yeah. So we're collaborating very much with other major NGOs who work in Afghanistan. There aren't a large number of NGOs that work there at this time, but the ones that are, we have all collectively made this decision. And we're all calling for female staff to be reinstituted immediately, mainly because, Johnny, an aid operation that only uses half of the talent available to it can only ever be half as good. And unfortunately, the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan is spiralling, and really the effectiveness of aid response needs to be doubled and certainly not half.
Okay, and what reason has the Taliban given for this decision?
They have said that some female staff were not following the law, but we have looked into that with other NGOs and we can't see any evidence of that at all.
At the same time, though, wouldn't it have made more sense to enforce mandatory head coverings, and warn correctly for females instead of banning all female NGOs from working? What's your view on that?
It's unclear as to the reason that they have made this decision. As I say, the investigations that we've done, we know that our staff and indeed staff in all the NGOs are following the law so that they can work in the country and provide this life-saving aid to the millions of Afghans who so desperately need it.
Okay, and as we mentioned earlier, many aid groups and organisations have temporarily suspended operations in Afghanistan in wake of the ban. But tell us more about this in terms of how it will seriously affect humanitarian crisis even more.
So Afghanistan is still enduring one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, and currently today almost half of the country's population is food insecure. Child malnutrition cases have risen to nearly 50% in Afghanistan as hunger hits record levels, and high acute food security persists across Afghanistan as a combination really of a collapsing economy and drought, and it's depriving nearly 19 million Afghans of food, which is nearly 6 million girls, boys and women and men living in famine-like conditions. The crisis can only really be tackled if there is safe and unhindered humanitarian access for all, a functioning economy which is sufficient and flexible, and sustained international funding, and where both male and female aid workers can operate as part of these response teams.
Okay, and at this moment, roughly how many people in Afghanistan are in need of humanitarian assistance?
Well, there's nearly 19 million Afghans who are severely food insecure currently.
Okay, and this includes roughly about, is it 14 million children?
Yes, so there's a very high population of young children, so that's our current estimates, yeah.
So Gillian, tell us how this will affect local aid workers who rely on paychecks in order to feed their family and survive over there.
Obviously it's absolutely horrendous for them. There are a good number of NGO staff who are women. In fact, in World Vision, a lot of our senior leadership team are women, and our national directors are women. And obviously they are the income winners for their family, and that's similar to a lot of other NGOs as well. And what we really are concerned about is obviously, yes, their ability to earn income, but also to the mental health of the women and girls in the population who had that as an option work and now has been suspended.
Okay. Could this situation force families into desperate circumstances? I've heard there has been an increase in girls, forced into child marriage, and reports of people selling kidneys in order to survive.
Yes, so I don't have any confirmed cases of that happening, but it is absolutely undeniable that the country is already in a massive humanitarian crisis. So the withdrawal of NGOs, or being told suspending their operations, will inevitably mean that this is going to worsen. And just, part of the decision that has been taken by the NGOs is that we believe that because of the gender and culturally sensitive NGO programming, it means that actually if you remove women from that, the actual results cannot be delivered by only men. And this would mean that women would be simply cut off from receiving aid, which means their needs resulting in unnecessary death and suffering.
And actually, the longer NGO programmes are on pause, it could become more difficult to restart them. Like, for example, relationships with local officials, they could erode, and staff, both male and female, may leave or be displaced and so on. What's your view?
Well, there is always that risk, but what I would say to you is that, currently, whilst the decision has been made and the operations have been suspended, and we won't reverse it unless the decision to ban females is reversed. There are lots of meetings going on with the NGOs and the de facto authorities in Afghanistan to try and improve the situation. And there has been some meetings that do show some promise. Obviously, if it goes on for a long time, that inevitably would happen. We're currently in a position where the operations are ready to go, the staff are ready to go, the children are desperately in need of the aid, and we are just really working as hard as we can with other NGOs to try and get the de facto authorities to reverse this decision.
So the ban on female NGO workers, it was also accompanied by another ban on women attending universities. Would that be right?
Yes, so there has been a number of edicts that have come from the de facto authorities that are problematic for women and girls.
OK, and also in March of last year, females were banned from secondary level education, and also in November, banned from public gardens, gyms and public baths.
Yes, that's what we believe is correct from our staff on the ground.
OK, by the way, roughly how many staff for World Vision Ireland had been working in Afghanistan?
World Vision Ireland funds some of the projects that are currently going on. For example, we're currently funding a World Food Programme, and we're currently funding a World Food Programme providing food and emergency food assistance to 212,000 people. And we're currently, with our Childhood Rescue project, working in the Herat province to provide food security, health and water and sanitation and child protection. But we don't currently have any staff from World Vision Ireland working in Afghanistan. World Vision feel very strongly that we should be employing local people to work in the areas. And so it's World Vision, it's Afghans who are working in World Vision Afghanistan.
So at a recent news conference, 4 international NGOs, including World Vision of course, had called for the immediate reversal of the ban. But what happens next? Will you be liaising with United Nations, or how will that all work?
Yes, so those meetings have already taken place, and our President has already been very involved in these discussions with the UN and, as I've said, with other NGOs and with the de facto authorities there. So I'm working with the Ministers of Education and Ministers of Health in the country. So there are lots of conversations and meetings happening as we speak to really help reverse this decision, because it is so fundamentally vital, particularly for women and girls in Afghanistan, that this ban is reversed. Right,
so we leave it there for today. Gillian, unless of course anything else you would like to mention.
One of the things I would like to say is that World Vision and the other NGOs it's really important that donors don't stop their support for Afghanistan during this phase. It's really, really important that we still have the support of our donors, particularly in Ireland. And if you would like any further information on the situation and how you can help get food and get aid to children who live in the world's most dangerous places, please do have a look at our website at worldvision.ie, and particularly have a look at our Childhood Rescue project, which is currently, as I've mentioned before, already got some projects happening in Afghanistan, temporarily suspended, but we're hoping to get them up and running as soon as the reversal's there. But please do have a look, and as always, if you do have any questions of our days or any ways you can support, please do get in contact with us.
Gillian, thanks again for joining us. Good talking with you, and all the very best. Take care.
Thank you very much, Johnny. I really appreciate this time.
You're most welcome. Now, that was Gillian Burnett, CEO of World Vision Ireland, talking about the need for the decision to ban NGOs from working in Afghanistan to be reversed.